Welcome to the DragonShip. I am Thor, and we are going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about non-monogamous dating. Seems like there's a real problem with dating today, and nobody knows what dating really is. Is it dating multiple partners or multiple people? Like back in my day when it was the purpose of actually finding a long-term mate, so you screened everybody by dating, or is it in 3 dates you have to ask, what are we? And lock it down monogamously. Well, there's a lot of different opinions on that. So we're going to chop it up. Let me bring in the panel and let's have some fun today. Climb aboard the DragonShip. Let's bring in my buddy, Phil Foster, Glenn Laurence, Mark Daniels, and from all the way across the Pacific, Laurent from Tokyo. We're going to get a real interesting conversation today about dating, and we'll get it from the worldwide perspective. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Excellent.
Good.
Glad to be here.
So let's talk about non-monogamous dating. I did a little bit of searching on the internet, and I found very different points of view. Us over here as Maniferians like to say spinning plates. That's where a man likes to go out and date multiple women. And he achieves quite a bit of success doing that because he's screening women. Not only that, there's a little bit of competition anxiety amongst the women. Now, there's several approaches to that. And that's where you conceal the other dates from each other, and or you let it be known right up front that you're dating multiple women, possibly having sex with multiple women over the course of this, however long you're going to date. And you're just being straight up with the women that you're asking out on dates. There's two different approaches there, and I've heard it said before many times, particularly in the neocon space, that non-monogamous dating is a degenerate lifestyle, very much related to the hookup culture that we talked about once before, that comes out of the college campuses, and it's all men's fault, and men just want to run around and date, and they're dating all the women, which we actually found out through multiple studies and questionnaires that was actually the other way around. So dating multiple partners or multiple potential partners non-monogamously seems to be almost the exclusive area of women these days, as borne out by just the one study that talks about sexlessness amongst young men ages 18 to 30. So let's just go around the panel and get everybody's take on how dating may have changed in the last 40 years. At least when I started out, dating was very explicit. In fact, we didn't have to have conversations when we started dating. We were really looking when we went on dates to see if it was a compatible partner. Attraction is established when a date was expected. When you had a date locked down, it was obvious that you were at least attracted on the surface to each other. And then there was a screening process that was done through several dates, whether it's, I don't know, back in the day, we went to the skating rink or whatever, I guess today they do clubs or dinner dates and things like that, or today even coffee dates or even sports dates, things like that, to see how well it went. And back in the day, Mark, we usually would date maybe 3 women, 4 women, and then we kind of end up focusing on one. But it sounds like today, if you go on the internet, it's like woman, as soon as you start dating a woman within a date or two, it's what are we? And then we lock down monogamously. Am I taking that wrong?
Yeah, I don't really know how it is as far as that goes because I haven't dated much lately. But I know back in the day, like you said, well, I had a main girl and I had other girls that I saw. I very seldom ever went out on a regular date. Maybe with my main girl, we might go out and do something together. I guess you would call that a date. But as far as asking someone out on a date, I don't think so. But what I do hear from my kids, and they're in their 20s and teens, is they don't really say dating, they say talking. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to this guy. So that's a common phrase. Now, I don't know if anybody else has ever heard of that.
I did hear about that in France. They don't actually have a term for dating, but it's kind of like talking, but I'm seeing someone. And it does imply exclusivity. I did not realize that happened.
Yeah, it does.
But it does imply, and they accept that it implies exclusivity in France. So dating does vary country to country, or at least the way we would think of how to do that. And then courting is entirely different. I looked up the definition of courting, and that's entirely different from dating. And that's really where, I mean, if you imagine courting, it's really kind of that prearranged situation that you see in India, where it's all about the marriage, and there is no
Yeah.
sex until marriage. So it was
Well,
interesting.
it's dating with intention. Courting is like seeing a girl with the intention of marrying her,
Okay.
which may be a covert idea for someone if a
Mhm.
guy is going out to try to find a woman to marry. But I very seldom ever, or if I have for years ever heard the term courting anymore. But people may still be doing that, but they're not openly saying it. Where back in the early 1900s or late 1800s, I think that was a common phrase used when you were courting a girl, when you were meeting with a girl and talking to her and dating. I guess they didn't use the word dating back then; it was courting.
Mhm.
Used when you were
Oh,
courting a girl, when you were meeting with a girl.
somebody's getting some feedback out of there. So, guys, take a look. Um, yeah, to me, it just seems, and of course, listen to me talk. I'm not dating, but Glenn, you're recently single. Phil,
I'm
you
not
have been
single.
recently, right? Like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or you been
Yeah,
together
like
for more than that?
like about almost 5 years now.
Okay. I meant right after your divorce, you were single
Yeah.
and dating, so you've probably been dating next to the rest of us sooner than we have. I mean, for me, what are you talking about?
Well, I
Multiple
mean, yeah,
decades.
probably the most recent one. I don't know. Phil's a pimp like that though. Phil be
Yeah,
dating.
he does.
Phil be spinning plates. See, like, I don't. I was talking about this last night. Like, dating to me is you're not exclusive. You're dating. Like,
Okay.
okay, like
I
you can
agree.
do whatever you want when you're dating because there's no commitment there. There's no official like you and I are boyfriend and girlfriend. No, that's a relationship. When you become boyfriend and girlfriend or fiance or husband and wife, those are terms defining a relationship status. Okay, so when you're dating, you're not exclusive. You're not exclusive right out the gate. Like you're spinning plates. That's dating is spinning plates. I mean, come on. They have the Bachelorette. They have the Bachelor. They love watching shows about people spinning plates. All right. So like I don't understand I don't know why people are saying dating non-exclusively is an issue. It's been the thing since it's been a thing.
Phil, what's your take on this? You've been dating recently?
Yeah, I've been dating. I think that and Glenn and I have talked about this a little bit. I think that when you're out there in the marketplace and you're talking to people, you're getting to know them, so it's not necessarily, I think in this day and age, I mean, in my experiences, hey, are you seeing anybody else? That's where you just need to be forthwith and say, yeah, I'm talking to X, Y, and Z. A lot of people, they don't want to do that. They don't want to be honest. They want to lie. They want to like get what they want without being forthwith about it. Here's the thing, when you're talking to multiple people, you're kind of like nailing down who you're interested in and who you're not interested in. And I think that that's the big thing with dating. I think once you're with someone and you commit to that person, you're no longer dating, you're in a committed relationship with them. I don't think necessarily that you can be in a committed relationship and date other people. So that's my take on it. I think that guys out here in these streets, I mean, there's two different kinds of women you want to lock down and women you want to have fun with, and that's the thing is when you're dating people, you want to determine whether she's somebody just to have fun with or someone you want to lock down. And that's what I think dating is, my friend.
Yeah, interesting. I do too. But I used to train NPC competitors. I think you've done some training too, as far as aesthetics. And one of the things that the gals always, they're always very cognizant of how they look and they want to be attractive. And almost every one of them had issues with dating. And the dating issue was it wasn't but 2 dates in, and then 2 dozen roses would come. What are we? And it was the guys trying to lock them down.
Well, because the guys
telling of the times,
no,
or
that's their quick way of trying to get sex. Like, because guys know that girls won't typically put out right away. So without a relationship, so they try to lock the relationship down as quick as possible to gain access to the punani.
Yeah, it's a nice guy approach, huh?
Oh yeah,
and it's I think that's what guys are told to do. but it's also, I think, very disingenuous, because a lot of guys will lie to the girls and love bomb them, but they still want to date, right? And try to find that one.
It's deceitful. It's dishonest. Like, I was talking about not too long ago where I was like, be straightforward with them. Like, tell these girls exactly what you want. Like, hey, you know what? I'm dating right now, so I'm playing the field. Let them know, like, hey, I'm not committed to you. I want to get to know you. So, just like be honest, be upfront with them. If you're not going to be exclusive with them, tell them you're not exclusive with them.
Well, that brings up an interesting conversation, Glenn, because, I've heard this said before, and actually in some of our consultations in our groups, is that a lot of the girls, in order to, not appear, shall we say, like a 304,
A floozy.
Is when it comes
using
up
Coco's words
dating,
now, Phil.
Yeah, when it comes
See,
up,
I love that word.
when it comes to dating, and this comes up, they want to, maybe date the guy for, a certain period of time before they become intimate, and guys want to lock them down, and where am I going with this? Well, it seems that the girls don't want that lockdown as fast as the guys do, I guess, and that wasn't the case when I was young, but maybe I'm just misreading it.
Well, I mean, girls nowadays, they know that, like, we live in the day of the social media. Like, they're spinning plates without you even knowing.
Exactly.
Every guy in their DM is a plate. Every guy that they text and they chat with is a plate. Like, they're spinning plates left and right. They're spinning more plates than you're spinning plates, more plates than you can even imagine to spin.
That's where I want. That's where I want to go. Yeah.
Do you think they actually see it that way, Glenn? I don't think that's the way they view it.
I don't think they necessarily view it that way, but that's how they use it, though. Like,
I agree. I agree.
They won't say, like, oh, I'm interested in them. Like, no, he's just a friend.
Yeah,
he's just a friend. He takes me on food dinners. He takes me. He's my foodie date. Or it's my work husband, or it's my gym bro. Like, it's.
Yeah.
They don't see it that way, but they utilize their sexuality to, gain either attention from them or gain something from them. So they're still using them in that manner, whether they like to think they are or not.
Right. I think it's a little bit of self-delusion there.
I think so too. I think it goes both. It only goes so far when it comes to the men that, men want to spin plates, so to speak, or they want, their natural sex drive is to, well, let's just say it like it is. It's to, spread their seed. That is their desire. They're always on all the time. Women are not always on all the time. Yes, they have a sex drive, and yes, they can be very, very sexual, and their agency is their sexuality. But they have a bit more control because of their biology than we do, because of the cost, essentially, biologically. So, while they're spinning plates, a lot of times they'll hold back sex to see who's the friend and who rises to the top. You guys ever heard of the 3-date rule? I've heard this said by many different dating coaches. There's a 3-date rule out there. Phil, have you heard this one?
Yeah, there is such a thing as a 3-date rule. I think that the better the girl, the more she's going to make you wait. And here's the thing. I think that's a tough one. If she's not interested in you, whatever, but I think if she's showing you interest in other areas besides opening her legs up, she's showing you that she actually values herself a little bit more, and so when you're spent, in my opinion, this is purely my opinion, guys. So take it, crucify me, do whatever you want. You can spin as many plates as you want. It doesn't mean you have to fuck every one of them. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And that's a thing, right? Is one
Where
woman might.
Where did that come from? Where did you hear that last night?
Glenn Laurence at Glenn Laurence presents. Just fucking around.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah. But the thing is it's amazing because I think girls inherently they want to be good girls, but they don't know how to be. They're emotional, right? And so you get the right guy with the right game, whether it's a beta game. I'm going to shoot my shot and help you be and commiserate with you until I get in your pants, or, direct game, whatever it might be. I think that girls inherently, girls that make you wait, they're qualifying you. And I think that that's not a bad thing. I think that there's a lack of respect on chicks that, you bang on the first date, period. I mean, it's there's always going to be something in the back of your head if you're going to lock her down. Hey, man, well, she gave it right up to me within like hours of meeting me. Who the hell is this chick? How many dicks is she ridden? How scrambled are the eggs before she made the omelet?
Sure. Let's look at Pit.
But then how about this though? Hold on, I got a quick question to follow up on Phil's thing. But Rollo says, any woman that makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. So if she's making you wait, isn't that like,
Yeah, I get what he's saying there. I get what he's saying. That's why I kind of like put that little blanket clause on the top of it, bro. And I said, if she's showing you interest in other areas besides giving you the pussy, you know what I'm saying? If she's actually
showing you desire,
she's showing you desire, she's showing you interest, she's showing you all that, she's ticking all the boxes other than fucking. She's letting you know that, hey, I value my chastity. It's not that I'm not interested in banging you. It's that I want to display to you I got some fucking self-control.
And she's also showing you she values you in other ways that really are just as valuable as sex, because if you have a relationship with her, those things are going to be just as important, if not more, once she starts having sex with you. So actually those indicators are actually better than if she screws you on the first night, I think, because women can show you interest in so many other ways. As you guys know, a woman can have sex with you, but almost seem disinterested in you. But if she has sex with you or not, but she shows you interest in other ways, like texting you, hey, what are you doing? What's your work? What do you do? What did you do today? All those things and many other more. That's very important because she's interested in you as a person.
Here's a question,
guys. This is kind of old school thinking, though. Really, I looked up the actual questionnaire, the questionnaire from the census on how many dates when you first meet a person to sex. And on average, it was just the USA is 5 for men. And for women, it was stated 9. Now, keep in mind, it's qualitative and it's self-questionnaire, right? So that's that right. But it kind of fits in with that. I mean, that old mode. What Rollo is getting at with, having to wait is that, it's a matter of measure of genuine desire. If she's jumping into bed with you immediately, she wants sex and she's willing to go to any ends of the earth to get sex. And so what that does is it sets up in your mind, this woman, when she's horny, is going to get sex wherever she can find the best deal. Right.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
And there's a place for that. No doubt about it. And God love those 304s.
I was going to say, like, you guys
wouldn't turn around without them. So yeah,
but the girl puts out on the first night, like just meeting you. Do you ever like think in your head, you're like, how many other guys does she do this to?
Yeah, exactly.
Take a look. I didn't download any TikToks today. I was a little busy, but there is a large push of younger women. We talked about this in the hookup culture that they're dating non-exclusive, and what ends up happening is they're proud to have sex on that first date. And I think that several of the men on this panel understand that. And so that's what we just argued earlier about them wanting to kind of preserve that classiness of I'm worth the wait sort of thing might be starting to fade in modern women today. Is that because of politics? What is that? I mean, we got slut walks now, right? So any comments on that?
Yeah, look what the media puts out there. It's like, I mean, you take Cardi B and some of these other ones, I can't remember all their names, but they're actually pushing and promoting promiscuity and sex is okay. And you can actually control men with sex, which you can control weak men. You can't control a strong man. But if we back up to that part about a woman having sex on the first date, okay, maybe her desire is so strong she can't resist. But think about that. How much self-control does that woman have? And if she can't control herself because you're so desirable, what's going to happen if you get together with her in an LTR and she meets some other man that she can't control herself? So that's something to think about too. And also, I'm sure you guys have heard this before. The girl has sex with you on the first date and she says something like, I've never done that quickly before on the first date. I guarantee you, she's
I was like,
done it
that's a
before.
lie.
She said, she's saying that to cover her tracks.
Of course. But I'll be devil's advocate here because you guys have all seen plenty of the gals out there on the TikTok say that, no, I can do it just like a man. If I choose to have sex on the first date and that's what I want to do, that's what I can. I can be proud of that notch count as well.
Well, she can. She wants to take the consequences of how men view that. And most men don't view that as honorable or admirable or a woman that. If you go to a bar or club, there's a woman there that you think is hot, you want to have sex with, and then there's the one there that you want to take home to mom. Two different classes of women. They're both desirable, but in different ways.
Right. So we all know that women have kind of a dualistic nature to their mating game, so to speak, to their sexual strategy. We understand hypergamy. Do men as well have that in some regards, but not so much hypergamy, but they're willing to spread the seed, right? But when they want to lock down a mate, body count matters to men for sure.
I was
right?
talking about this too. Like, body count shit does matter for really only one reason. You want to know that the fraternity, okay? But in all honesty, how do you really ever know what the number is? She could tell you it's 5, but it could be like 55. And she's telling you a low number because women know that guys don't want a woman that has a high body count. So
there's loyalty there too. Yeah,
I disagree in some respects. Okay,
let's hear it.
Because I've lived a long time. All right, and I would say probably in the 60s and 70s, yeah, body count was worry. The worry was paternity. But in the 70s and early 80s, when AIDS come out, body count became a point of survival.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you were looking at. Is she sleeping with a lot of guys? Am I going to get AIDS? Am I going to get some disease that's going to kill me? All right. That's why body count is more important today to most of these guys. They just don't actualize the reality of it. Okay. And then you got some guys that are out there, they're willing to go ride raw. All right.
But I think when it comes down to it, you're not going to wife up a girl that that has a huge body count, even if you guys already banged it out. Because
you don't know what their body count is anymore, Glenn.
And that's what I'm saying.
Nobody knows. A global market. All right. You don't know anybody's body count unless you ask them, and then they're not going to be honest with you anyway.
Well, I think that if you
then you don't know whether it's true or not.
If you're with a girl and you've got experience with women, you can tell. You're not going to know the number, but I can tell. I've been with virgins. I've been with girls that had 1 or 2 men, and I've been with girls that had a lot of men. There's a different way they act and they hold themselves. They present themselves. I mean, I'm not saying I can't be fooled, but in general, I can tell if a woman's been with a lot of men or whether she hasn't been with very many.
Yeah, but what's a lot? What's a lot?
To me, 10, 15, 20 men, I think is a lot. If she's in her early 20s. I mean, that's pretty common nowadays. To find one less than that is uncommon. But to me, that's a lot. Yeah. Because I grew up in the same time you did.
Girls have got more bodies than that these days.
Yeah, I know. But
so by that math, if she's in her 70s and has 20, she's golden, right?
Yeah. But that hot girl summer, that hot girl summer, where they it's one a week for July and double down in August. I mean, you do that a couple of summers, boy, before they go back to college, and it's like, man, that sucker's been whittled down to nothing.
Yeah, but women define sex differently than men, right? They definitely define it. The certain things don't count, right? Or is well, you heard the term eating in and cheating, right?
Oh man, come on.
All right.
I don't think
it matters.
I don't think it's as calculated as it gets presented.
I agree. Me too. I don't think it's that like that, but it makes for good talk.
I think what it really comes down to is that you need to watch the way she moves.
Yeah.
Watch how she interacts with people. Watch how she presents herself. Okay. If she presents herself very, promiscuous, very flirty, and you're with her and she's like, very showing off all the goodies, right? Well, she's advertising. So, and if you're in a relationship with a girl that's constantly advertising, come on. She's using her sexuality to try to, gain attention. To me, that's a huge factor. Like if I see a woman that tries to push out their sexuality to gain attention, to me it's like either looking for more dick or they you know they're advertising for more. Either way, to me it's
Or
like
they're
So what
insecure.
you're saying, so
Woman
what you're
uses
saying, Glenn,
sexuality.
what you're
Every
saying,
woman
Glenn,
uses it.
what you're saying, Glenn, is basically when you get the sweatpants and the basic bitch dress at home, but when she's headed out, it's that shit's on fucking fleek. That's
yes.
is that what you're talking about? Okay,
That's
I wanted
exactly
you to
what I'm
clarify
talking
that.
about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like when she's going out or she's going to the store or when she's going anywhere and she's looking like she's going to the club. She's
What
out.
about the rationalization? Well, I just wanted you to remember what you got.
I know what I got. I don't need everybody else to know what I got.
Okay, so it sounds like you're talking about your girl, but what about dating? Let's get back to dating.
Yeah,
So-
what's your intent when you date? That's what you have to decide first. If you just want to go out and have fun, there's nothing wrong with dating whatever girl. But if you're actually looking for a mate, now I'm not saying a girl that has a higher body count can't have a good relationship, but they can. But you can find that out. You date them for 3 to 6 months, you'll find out how stable they are and how loyal you think they may be able to be. It takes time to figure that out. But eventually, like Glenn said, they start giving telltale signs. Of course, you can't get the correct exact number, but they're not going to tell you if you ask them directly. But you can, if you watch and observe, just be aware and see how they move. Like Glenn said, you can tell. And then how she acts towards you, how she acts around other men. Does she have Instagram? Is she shooting out hearts to all these guys who are liking her pictures, et cetera, et cetera? There's a whole bunch of stuff. Does she get phone calls when she's with you? And does she answer, I'm with my boyfriend?
Yep.
Or does she not answer? She shuts the phone off. I mean, you could go on and on about the clues and signs.
So this is what I want to get to exactly. I think there's two different messages that goes out in popular media to women today. I really do. And to men. I think there's a different message that goes out. And it's kind of concealed. And I'm going to bring up an example. Then I'm going to talk about why dating seems to vary so much by culture. And then we're going to get Lauren's take on the East, because it is wildly different in Asia, just from country to country on what's expected when you date. But if I take a look at just a couple of articles I found by the exact same PhD woman, I get a little bit of a different message here. So let's take a look at it. Okay. So here we are. This was written by this woman right here, and this is 6 signs of a serial dater to watch out for. She's very careful. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but notice it was done just a year or two ago, and it was done here in October 2019. And she doesn't actually call out men, but what we're talking about is us just dating as men would be serial dating, right? Now, she's very careful not to call it each gender, but she implies it all over this place. And then what's really interesting, she kind of down talks them like they're seeking validation and there's insecurity issues and all of these things. And I can't quite figure out why she's doing that, because dating is really the only way you're going to find someone that you're really compatible with. And she talks about ghosting. She calls it off the grid. You go 1 month later and you look at her next article, and this is 11 dating rules you should probably try to follow. Exact same woman, November 11th, less than a month later.
She didn't change her mind, did she?
Well, what do we have here? Okay. We have the very first tip is date multiple people at once. And she talks about playing the field, and, you know, it's really interesting. Keep the date short. And she's implying she's talking to women, but she doesn't call out men or women. She's very careful. This is on womenshealthmag.com. So obviously there's some clickbaitiness going on here, but it is an interesting perspective. I don't know how real it is. Is it just done to be controversial because there's two sides of it? I think there actually is kind of a dual message here, that dating, dating multiple people at once is okay for women right now. And it's looked down upon for men at this point, because they should be willing to step up. And the reason I say that is I think men are expected to try to lock down very quickly. Like Glenn said, when I had the experience of when I was trading the NPC competitors, and they were complaining to me that the guys would always, I love you, here's some flowers. What are we? When can we move in together? So let's get some comments on this right now and what you think about, something like that article. Do you guys seeing kind of a double message here? Is it just me searching the internet going down a rabbit hole?
There's a double message, but it's been a double message since 2018, really, since they put out the toxic masculinity thing, and they listed male promiscuity was one of the things that on the checklist for toxic masculinity. So but they tell women to be promiscuous. Go out there, girl, go get them, date the bad boy, date the nerd, date the doctor, date the cop, date the criminal. Like they tell them to go do all these things, but they tell guys like, you're a toxic masculine man if you are promiscuous. So it's been like that for the last 5 years at least.
I think so. I think maybe it started a little earlier than that, having been around for a while. But yeah, I think that's. Anybody else see anything like a kind of a dual message going on there that's specific to gender?
There is, and the reason why is that if 100% of the women are not trying to date 15 to 20% of the men, their dating pool is going to be small.
Yeah.
Okay. So for women, the rationale would be for women, it's okay to date multiple men within that pool because you're trying to pull from that pool. Okay. But for men, it's like, no, you only need to date one woman at a time. That way she gets to make the choice. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that she can make the choice and not the man.
I like that. Now notice that dovetailed really nicely with the question that Jawad asked, which I was trying to read, but now it's gone. Do you think that the future, Raith, relationships for men will be polygamy? If everyone wants the top 5% of men? You kind of slowly went that they're naturally headed that way because of their desires.
That's
right?
what they're trying to do. I didn't say that's the way it should be, or the way
I don't think he's implying that it should be that way. He just asked if the future relationships for men will be polygamous in nature.
No.
Okay.
My hope is, all right, that more men in that top 20% will start walking away from being able to provide resources and stuff for multiple women. Okay?
Stop simping, you mean?
Right.
Okay, I know I have a sound effect for that because I don't think that's going to happen.
and that even in the top 20%, that they get more discerning. They don't have to be discerning right now, but they need to be more discerning about the women they spend time with, they spend money on. All right. If they do that, that opens it up. Maybe we get to 50% of the men are more desirable.
Right.
If we get to the point where 50% of the men are more desirable, then you have an ability to balance. But we're not going to get there, as long as the 80% are so thirsty and the 20% are willing to take, less than desirable women.
Okay.
Those 20%, the top 20%, have to think of it more in those terms. Okay.
We make a very valid point for sure. Let's continue this thread on dating because it is different from culture to culture. Now, hypergamy and the woman's desires and attraction for that top level men is very consistent worldwide. I think we'd all agree that that's what happens. However, the fact that dating is done differently in certain countries, I know that in India, there is some restrictions there. I'll get to Glenn on that. He's familiar with that and extramarital sex. There's laws around that. But in Japan, Laurent, we're going to have you talk about what dating is. And it's rather promiscuous. And then I want to talk about South Korea because that's really, really conservative. I mean, like class conservative. Give us your thoughts there.
All right. So can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So about Japan, Japan is a paradise for
pull it
single
away
men.
from your mouth. There's lots of feedback.
Okay. Japan is a paradise for single men, especially for foreigners. It's absolutely amazing. I have a dating here has different rules. So you're talking about the rules of 3. I think it's pretty universal. Interestingly enough, the idea of exclusivity is something that actually Sorry about the feedback, though. So, yeah, sorry about the feedback. If I move it further, is it better?
Yes.
Okay. So the idea about exclusivity, you were talking about guys trying to lock it down. Interestingly enough, here in Japan, it's the other way around. And the perspective is like women, they date around and they test the waters here and there. And after a while, what are we? Here, this is a question that is brought by women. So this is interesting hearing your perspective, and I believe that behind this is like probably from the women's side, they're non-exclusive by definition because people come to her no matter what. They go to groceries, some guys are going to talk to them. So here the idea of exclusivity comes from women, so they're perfectly aware of spinning plates. The idea of spinning plates is actually a female concept to start with. So that's one. Another thing that is interesting here in Japan is there's no concept of religion. For instance, when I hear you guys, I hear a lot of mixing of morality, religion, and sex. Here, it's completely void of this. So this is a big culture shock for most foreigners coming here. Now, as far as Japanese are concerned, when they date, there's a hierarchy to it, and there's a ferocious hierarchy. So every type of date has a name. For example, there are guys who take girls on driving. They drive them into their car. In their car, the pretty girls in the car. It's called ashikun. The older gentleman takes his niece for lunch. It's called the meishikun, or dinner. It's called the meishikun. The guy who gives gifts is called mitsugukun. There's a hierarchy to it. It's actually very different than in the West. And as far as the idea of promiscuity, of course, you can always tell when they're just, but you can't really tell in Japan because some women show a lot of skin, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are promiscuous. There's also this notion of cosplay, and I've met women who look completely conservative, but they were very, let's say, hospitable.
Well, that's interesting because they put the front on, don't they, Laurent? I mean, they put the front of elegance and, of being rather conservative, yet I would imagine many of them are sleepers and they enjoy sex and promiscuity just fine.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
can you tell me the difference? Because I've known some South Koreans. They're definitely extremely conservative and have a dating issue. Have you had any experience in South Korea?
I've experienced with Koreans. Only 3 or 4.
Okay.
Actually, 3 or 4 to hello Phil, 3 or 4.
Okay.
Well, I only had 3 or 4 of them. Oh man, they're ferocious in bed. It's true that they're more conservative in general. But actually, it's interesting because there are lots of TV dramas here in Japan about like being more traditional. Like Koreans are perceived to be more traditional, although it is quickly evolving. I don't have I do have experience dating Korean chicks in Korea. One, yeah.
Is it any different? I mean, I've read stories that it's a little more conservative. You got to date for a longer period of time. It's somewhat intentional, and there's kind of rules around it.
Yes. But I'm not a specialist of Korea, unfortunately. So, but Japan, I know I've played the field. I've played the field for a long time.
So in your opinion, would you say Japan is more promiscuous than the West? Because you've been to the West as well.
Oh, dude, if you want to rack up a body count like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, welcome to Japan, boys.
So how do the men feel about that?
I feel great.
I mean, how do they feel about that as far as locking them down? Because marriage is a bit different in Japan, right?
It is a heaven for single men, but it's also a hell for married men.
Yeah, so you're married as well, so I mean, you must have been a good find there, right?
I remember that at the end I was fine. I was kind of constantly.
All right, we're losing Laurence signal. Something's up, so looks like things are bouncing. No worries. I know that definitely dating is different, and I'll just bring your guys' attention to this for kind of tongue-in-cheek fun. Knowing that dating is different in different cultures, take a look at what we have here. I'm going to bring you guys over to one that I found that you guys might find kind of fun, and that is here in Iceland. Here we go. Dating in Iceland. Let's see if I can bring this back up for you guys. It's pretty funny. Icelandic culture. So in Iceland, they have a whole different way of dating. I mean, I talked about China and all that sort of thing. Let's get over here. Okay. Iceland. Apparently in Iceland, this is really cool. Iceland's casual sex culture. So in this one, it could be argued that it's the most sexually liberated. And this is just a couple years old, but I know this because I've known Iceland people and I have talked with Icelandic people, but they have a different way of dating. You know, instead of 3 dates, then sex, as popularized by myth here in America, I'll just quote the article. It's fuck first, names later. There you go, Phil. Icelanders. Fuck first, names later. So, and this is relatively true. And I've had this backed up by actual Icelanders. Sex is so important to them that they are sexually compatible that it's expected on first dates. And then if they like each other and they're compatible, then it starts to get towards the romanticism. Although they have a lower marriage rate, their divorce rate is just slightly above the worldwide. But this is interesting because I guess that's been with them for a really long time. And prior to this, it looks like in this article, it states that in 1707, smallpox seriously depopulated the island, and the king of Denmark, which ruled at the time, made it a law that every young Icelandic woman was required to give birth to at least 6 children, married or not, and the king would take care of them. So there was a
they had a purpose. They had to make babies. Like, look,
exactly.
You got to go out there and get some dick.
Glenn, you were born in the wrong time. Oh, those Vikings, man, they decided, we need more people. Let's make them. But that culture is wildly different than, say, South Korea or India, Glenn, which you brought the attention to me that they passed a law in India. And this is going to affect, I mean, they kind of date with the purpose, or they actually have prearranged marriages there, which is extremely common. They actually have a high success rate because the families are involved. There's a lot of social guidelines there, or rails that keep them kind of together, but they're slowly feminizing. They're definitely kind of a feminist country, but
not slowly. They're
going whole hog, right?
Yeah, and that's why they actually implemented these laws for, because
tell us about it. This will affect dating, right?
It affects everything for them. And guess what? Just so you guys know, if you guys plan on going to India and you are not married and you bring a girl with you, these laws do affect you too, just so you know. In India, you cannot live or cohabitate with a woman that you're not married to. So if you're dating and you guys go over to Bangladesh or wherever in India, and you wanted to, go sightseeing or go whatever, get 2 hotel rooms, one for her, one for you, because you are not allowed to be in the same hotel room, same house with anybody that you are not married to.
Really?
Second, you are not allowed to have premarital sex. So if you are fucking before you are married, that is a crime. That is a crime that's punishable. Okay. And that it contributes to the Muslim Sharia law is really, really much the thing over there. I think 90% of the country is Muslim.
Is it that high in India?
Not that high, Laurent? Is it more or less?
20% of the country is Muslim. They have the lowest rate of divorce in the world with 1%, but they also have the highest rate of infidelity with 46%.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of these laws were put in because of the Muslim religion. A lot of these laws were put in because of the caste system.
The caste system, right?
I mean, the article that I read, because I did a topic on this. I did a podcast on this like maybe a month and a half ago when it happened. The laws were in place mainly, from what I understand, in the main Muslim territories, like, or the Muslim territories cover the majority of the of like the bigger cities and stuff. That's where this law is taking an effect, and it's a law that was passed by both sides of parliament. Like both sides of the the government officials agreed to this. There was no pushback whatsoever. And
what I'm saying though is, the two major religions in India are being Muslim or Hindi. Okay, so Hindi has a caste system. A lot of these laws, they affect the Muslims. The Muslims put a lot of them forward, but most of it was put in because of the caste system. Because still, 80% of the population is not Muslim, and 80% of the population is not going to go under Sharia law just for the reason that it sounds good. It's in the caste system. A lot of women were being denigrated in the caste system because of sex slavery, those kind of things. And a lot of Indian feminists thought this was a way to protect women of lower caste.
Egalitarian then.
Right.
Okay. So
it's been going on since the early 2000s.
Yeah. You also got a Sikh population, which kind of blends the caste system with the Islamic culture as well,
right?
In a whole different manner. Very masculine religion and culture, the Sikhs.
But it's not that great for relationships out there. Yes, they do have prearranged marriages. But I have friends. Actually, I have a friend that's let's just say his family's he's royalty out there, and they have told me, like, man, it's not any easier. It's more difficult for guys to get in relationships out there because of feminism, the way it is. Like, it's really bad out there right now. Like, I get articles about it a lot just because I have friends that are from over there, and I read these things, and it's crazy how much feminism is taking over that country. Like,
it's an effect of eliminating the caste system. It's replacing the caste system, because there's still, I think, if I remember right, female population is about 80% in the country.
Their demographics is actually growing, one of the few.
Right.
So something's working as far as sex is concerned. There are a lot of babies coming.
Right.
They buy something in the water, all the little boy sperm gets murdered.
I don't know.
But like I said, that's what it is. It's feminism's taking over, taking over the caste system, political system, and everything over in that country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in most of these laws that you're talking about, they're not expressed towards women, they're expressed towards men. It's hard to prove that a woman is having sex out of marriage. It's easy to prove that a man is, because all it takes is a woman to claim that he is.
Sounds like the U.S. to me.
Yeah, it's not that bad here yet, but it's Me Too went crazy over there. I guess is the best way to put it, because a lot of those, a lot of the laws that come out of in Canada and in European countries with Me Too got really expanded in India.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have that here or no? The Me Too?
I don't know. Some people say it's dying. Other people say that it's.
I have the article right here. If you guys want me to put it up.
Sure.
Is that like a law in every state, or is it in any states, or is it?
Me Too is everywhere, bro. You just got to be careful. Don't get Me Too'd.
But I mean, is it an actual law, legislative?
It's not a law. It's a movement. It's a movement.
Oh, okay.
It's a movement, but they have put laws in place. Okay.
They tend to put employment guidelines in. I'm in a state that does that, where they put guidelines in, and they call them like diversity, inclusion, and equity guidelines that corporations they suggest follow, and that's backed up by law.
Did you mix up India and Indonesia by any chance?
Oh, they probably did. Why?
Yes, I did.
Because,
Yes, I did. I totally did. I just realized that.
No.
I thought that too.
Indonesia is the
You are right. In Indonesia, most of the laws are being driven by Muslim population. Consider it's about
Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world.
Consider it's about 93% Muslim.
My bad. But here's the article right here though. It says like, in Indonesia, they passed unanimous law sweeping a new criminal code on Tuesday, criminalizing sex out of marriage as part of a tranche of change that critics say threaten human rights and freedom in the South Asian country. The new code, which also applies to foreign residents and tourists, ban cohabitation before marriage, apostasy, and provides punishment for insulting the president or expressing views counter to the nation's ideology, the national ideology. So like this passed, like this includes like, look, no, you get public flogging will take place in regions for a range of offenses, including homosexuality and adultery. Imagine like getting your ass whooped just because you got a little bit of booty, like it's crazy.
That's going to cut down on the tourism, Glenn.
I mean, was there much tourism out there? I don't know.
I don't know.
Bali is in India, so a lot of people go to Bali, especially the Aussie surfers. They go and surf over there in Kuta. It's pretty cool, actually.
And most of their gross national product is tourism, but it's mostly, there's a lot of people that take what do they call them when you go on a religious
sabbatical?
Yeah, they take sabbaticals there, especially on the Muslim side.
Are you talking about Hajj? Hajj is the pilgrimage to Mecca, right?
All right, the pilgrimage. There you go.
It says you can get up to 5 years in prison. I mean,
you're gonna get a lot of booty behind bars, that's for sure.
It's pretty wild though. Like, but here's the question, right? We know that there's two types of girls, right? There's the girls that you marry, as Thor was pointing out earlier, and then the girls that you just play with, the plaything. The problem is, and Thor and I have already had this conversation on a previous podcast where we're like, guys love hoes. There's not a guy in this world that doesn't love hoes. Okay, every guy would bang the hottest hoe in the world if she threw her vagina at him and said, "Bang me, please." Okay. Nobody just wants to marry the hoe. Nobody wants to marry the promiscuous woman that is going to be that thing. Nobody wants that. So we could at least say that, when it comes down to dating or being promiscuous, nobody has a problem with it until the problem is theirs, right? And can we really, because we tell guys to go out there and spin plates and go out there and, get experience, but we tell women to keep their chastity. So who are these women that these guys are supposed to be getting, experience with?
No, the 304s.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. I told Phil that last night. I was like, look, the 304s are the ones that everybody got to go, get experience with. And then they take that experience and they find their good girl, right?
Well, I don't think it makes them bad people. It's just a question of if you decide to have an LTR, and if they do too, whether or not they can adhere to that, because it's so easy for them to jump to another guy. Now, of course, there's exceptions, but it's like a woman who's only been with maybe nobody or one or two guys, she's invested in that guy. It's not easy for her to jump to another one. It's just like the alcoholic who takes a drink. Once he takes that first drink and more, the next one's easier, the 10th one's even easier. It's the same concept. Once you've been with 10, 20 guys, I'll just go find somebody else. It's like when you go into the grocery store, and Thor and Raith can remember, we used to have a couple selections of chips. Now you got 50, you can't decide which one to get. There's so many different chips. So does everything. It's the same way with that woman. She's only used to one guy or two guys. She's not really just all ready to jump out and try this guy, another guy next. She'll stay, or she's willing to invest more, to work on it more. At least that's been my experience.
But do you think we have a problem in this?
Guys, I need to stop the show right now. Guys, We have over 30 viewers, and we only got 11 likes. So,
Man, hit that like
this
button.
is what you guys are going to get that are watching right now. I'm going to be a little bit hard and bring the hammer down. So,
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
likes are free, gentlemen. Hit the like button. Do us a solid, man. Do us a
Yeah.
solid, okay? The likes
on.
are at 11. Seriously? Come on, man. That's
I
the
got 12
third.
here.
We got to stop the whole damn thing. And you guys can super chat too. Help support us. I know we're a small channel, but we chop it up and we do a lot of tongue in cheek stuff. We're not so serious with this stuff, but we like to have fun and we like to be positive. So I am going to launch just a little bit more and I'm going to say, hey, let's talk about this. Us guys, we like that selection and we can have that extra sex with the 304. Glenn, every guy sat here goes, yeah, man, the hot ones, right? We like the 304s. Even Laurent. Super Alpha in Tokyo, 304. Is there women that just want to have sex and that's it? And
Yeah.
they're dating just for that purpose only because it's pleasurable? Or have we deluded ourselves as men to think that, they're really just gold diggers and they really just want this or they want that? Do we kind of delude ourselves as men? This is just a rhetorical question. And let's try.
304 are saints. They are saints. They're relieving men for their misery.
Relieving men
sins
for
of
their
the world.
So they're a pressure relief valve on society? Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna say this. I don't think any young girl walks out at 18 years old and says, I'm going to be a 304.
I know a few.
No, they don't. There's something, if you get a girl at 17, 18 years old that says, I'm going to be a 304, there's some underlying psychological issues. It's just that simple.
He needs to come to California.
Usually father issues. They don't have fathers. The most
Well, I said there's some underlying psychological issues.
Yeah.
All right.
Full sleeve tattoos, senior in high school.
But like I said,
Jesus
I
Christ.
I think what happens is, they get sold this bill of goods that, men are doing it. You should have the ability to do it. And it shouldn't have an effect on you. All right. They get sold that bill of goods all through their growing up. And then they get out there and because they don't have an understanding or a sense of identity for themselves, that becomes their only agency.
I got a question.
That's because that's
following that up. I'll go. I'll finish up, Raith. I got a question following that up because it just hit me.
Because if it becomes their only agency, that's the only thing. That's the only place they find value in a relationship, which is sad. But
it is their agency ultimately. That's how they're designed. I mean, that's their only agency. How they parlay that into relationships, that's different.
But it's not their only agency.
Well, what's their agency?
I think we have to also look at what they contribute to a relationship when they're in a relationship with a good man.
Yeah, but what is their entry into it? Let's be honest here. Their sexuality. That's why they wear makeup. That's why they present themselves. They know this.
Well, then in that case, then a man's only agency is his ability to provide resources. And that's
yes.
I refuse to believe that's a man's only agency.
Well, it's kind of the way we're all kind of taught, though.
It's too freaking simplified. That's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
when it comes down to brass tacks, like women will get. We've seen women get with guys that are not attractive, but that have plenty of resources. So they would get with them, not because they find him handsome, not because they find him, they're not in love with them. They get with them because of resources.
True.
It's required, even if we go back to the earliest times, it's required that the man be able to provide security and provisioning.
But security can come in different forms. I've seen good-looking girls get with guys who don't have resources, who are not attractive also, and be in long-term relationships. So,
but the provision is
what is the average though? Not the exceptions. Let's don't do what the girls do and point out the exceptions. What is the averages?
Well, I think naturally a woman wants a man who can take care of her. So Yeah, they would be looking at resources. I think throughout the centuries they've looked for resources, but I don't think that's the only reason. But I believe maybe in the U.S. it's more common because we've become such a materialistic society, which has actually been led by men, and even more so in the last few years. If you look at social media, it's all about
Yes.
showing your bling, what you have, and this and that. And what are the men? The men are the leaders, and who's following? The women.
And here's the message, Mark. The message is men, and this is coming right from, this is liberals, this is the cons, neocons, and this is the church. Men, this is what they're told. Do the right thing. Women, what are they told? You go, girl. Do it. Do you.
Do what's right. Do what's right for you.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you, girl.
Live your truth.
You know, I think honestly, you know, it's a man's burden of performance, period, to handle his business and be squared away. You know, Glenn and I were talking about this as you raise your status. I mean, your options are going to be abundant. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, in the
True.
end. And so the only way a woman can elevate her status is to protect who she is and keep herself as intact as possible for a man that is willing to provision and provide that security and offer that burden of performance to her willingly. So when you look at it like that, I think Raith is absolutely right. I don't think girls, you know, graduate high school and say, I'm just going to go out and just hit the streets and be a hoe.
Right.
Now, unless there's some sort of whatever, you know, upbringing has caused that to come about, you know, I think it just happens. And, you know, the whole idea of, well, you know, men behave in this fashion, so I'm going to behave in this fashion is the big lie that they've been sold 100%.
Right.
Yeah, you can't expect a man of status. You cannot expect a man of status to respect a woman that's been passed around like the heel of a loaf of bread. You just can't.
Well, here's the thing.
They do actually broadcast in media the 304. There's a lot of social pressure, and women are heavily influenced by social pressure. And
I
peer
was going to
pressure.
say, like, you know, I would even say that, you know, ever since birth control, the value of vagina has dropped because we know with birth control, that's helped women. That's been a leading factor why women are more promiscuous. We have all these different contraceptions. You know, they're getting abortion. They were getting abortions like left and right. So the value of that vagina now has dropped significantly because we know that it's been on nowadays. Women are more promiscuous than ever. Men under 30 years old. 1/3 of men under 30 years old are either sexless or virgins, but not women. So that means women are still out there getting it. So the value of, like, you know, locking one down. And I think Raith is onto something, that she has to have more than just a vagina to be of value. Because
But one of the issues is it's only dropped for 20% of the men. The value is only dropped for 20% of the men. If that wasn't true, then the other 80% wouldn't be so thirsty and contributing to the problem.
They're thirsty for anything.
And you got to account for inflation too, Glenn. Let's be real.
well, I mean,
Hey, hoflation's a motherfucker, bro.
Hoflation, that's where I was going, Phil. Hoflation.
Hey, we got a super
Them
chat.
hoes hurting, bro. My inbox is stuffed on Twitter.
it's just
All
like
right,
this,
guys,
it's
we
like-
got to get to some super chats. Here we go. All right, this is from Redoku. Men, in your opinion, what would you want as a ratio 304 to good girl in your life if you are dating, particularly in terms of time shared with each? I'm going to have to defer to the expert, Mr. Phil Foster.
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me just make sure I just got this correct. He says, in your opinion, what would you want as a ratio of 304 good girl in your life? So we're talking about the girl that actually I'm locking down. You know, I definitely want her to be my 304 100%, but do I want her to be a good girl? Absolutely. And so when I look at a woman and I think about that, I say, how does she behave? What kind of compliance? You know, if I'm providing and killing it in this world and I'm not missing a beat, I expect the same from her. You know, as far as being a 304, you know, experience is not necessarily needed because I can teach what I want from her, especially when it comes to fucking. So the ratio I would say would be 70-30. to start out with.
Okay.
70% good girl, 30% hoe behavior.
I like that. I like that. I just want to clarify something. I'll backtrack a little bit. When I'm talking about 304 or sexual agency, I am not equating human value. Human value is human value, whether it's men or women. I want to preface that because we do a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff here. Flynn and I'll get back and forth. It sounds like we might be going women, but the case is
I love women.
is the same, and we love them to death because they make us better men in a lot of ways because we got to perform. So,
100%.
and not a performing monkey. We got to be better men. So,
no, and I wasn't thinking that's what you're doing. But I'm very careful about what I say because I don't want, there's a lot of young men out here watching this show.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to preference everything I say by an understanding that the burden of performance is on him. And I don't want to give him loopholes so that he doesn't have the burden of performance by saying her only agency is her vagina. Okay. In some sense, and in a basic instinctual point, yes, because what does the vagina do? It has babies, it carries the seed into the future, and that kind of stuff.
Let me circle.
But the only thing is if we only fixate on that, then I've seen way too many young men think that's the only value a woman has.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah, to circle on Redonku, he says I'll do me specifically the ratio of time shared with girls who are recreational use only versus good girls. Recreational girls would get I would say less than a third of my time. Good girls get the 2/3.
But I want to circle back what Raith was saying, and that's why I brought up the point where I was like, why we tell guys to get notch, get out there, get experience, get notch counts, whatever. But then we tell women to keep their chastity, or that if they have sex, not to have a high body count, or you're a 304, or you're not good for pair bonding, or you're not good. So it's like we're there. This in a sense in this community there is an oxymoron going out there. We're sending two different messages, and it's not congruent with each other. So
they don't have to be. That's the point. They don't have to be. Men have a life that they're going to live. Women have a life that they're going to live. Okay. And for them to be successful and combine those lives, there's certain rules that each side has to live by. All right. And when you're saying they're saying we're not congruent because we're telling one to do this, one to do that. Okay. You're talking about equity. There's no equity. And if you don't learn anything in life, you're going to learn that life is not equitable.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, doesn't it seem like? Because I get what you're saying. I'm saying, the experience. Because I think that it's I think you can gain experience without having to bang 27 girls. You know what I'm saying? I think it's misleading, or the not really explaining what it means to go out and get experience. You could be with one partner. You have one girlfriend or one wife that's very willing to explore sexually with you, and you could gain a lot of experience with that one individual that you could get the same with banging 10 girls. So I think experience, when we say go out and get experience, we need it, to clarify that it's not just multiple different women. It's also it could be one woman, multiple different experiences with her.
Okay, I can accept that, but let's look at it this way. Okay, let's look at how sex is viewed. Pretty much sex for men is viewed from a physical standpoint. Okay, and sex for women is viewed from a psychological standpoint. So women tell me. I'm not a woman, so I can't tell you 100% for sure if that's the truth. All right, so in order to be good at sex from a male standpoint, he has to understand and explore the woman's understanding of sex and how it's satisfying for her. All right. So anybody that's spent any time with a woman knows that sex for a woman is 80 to 90% psychological. All right. dating a lot of women, you don't have to have sex with them, but dating a lot of women allows you to understand the female psyche. All right. If we're sitting there saying, go get experience, I don't want young men to conceive the only experience you're going to get is putting your penis inside a vagina. Because that's the finishing technique of sex food. It's not the whole technique. It's not the training for it. And that's way too many men think that's the training. It's not. It's learning how to understand women so that you can make the killing technique or the finishing technique.
Yep.
All right. And that's what the point I'm going back to is when we tell them sex is a woman's only agency, it solidifies to them that they're only worth the finishing technique. There's nothing in between that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. That's what we're telling young men. That's not the truth. The truth is you have to date. You have to date a lot of women. Okay. You don't have to sleep with them all, but you have to date a lot of women so you understand what you want.
That's right. To tee off real quick, I'd like to just acknowledge George Bruno here in the chat. George, thanks for stopping by the DragonShip, man. Glad you're in here, man. Hope you enjoy the content.
Absolutely. Hello, George. It was nice to see you and meet you there at the Conference of Masculine Excellence. You did an excellent job as the MC. Glad to have you in the chat.
He always does an excellent job. He's an amazing storyteller, Thor.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Offie's here, but I want to say something before Offie starts because I'll never get to say anything again after Offie.
No, that's all right.
But here's the thing. If you're going to be in the pipe fitters union and you want to lay pipe, there's a lot of stuff you got to learn before you lay the pipe.
Yeah.
Okay. It's that simple.
Pipe fitters union.
All right. So, and that's what Offie is very good at teaching you how to get through all the techniques of putting the pipe together so that you lay a good pipe.
There you
go.
So you can lay a good pipe and you can talk to me and become a mixed gas muff diver. Crazy guys. I got to do a super chat, guys. Right? This is a good one. It's from one of our good friends. We're going to give him the war horns. And here we go. I got him bookmarked. Abdel. He's asking a question. He's having a hard time reconciling having a marriage-minded good girl on lock and wanting some side. What I have is good and ticks a lot of boxes. Well, I'll just go ahead and take the first shot at that. If you have something good that ticks a lot of the boxes, that's not a bad thing. And wanting some on the side it's kind of, guys will want that. This is part of your instinctual drive. It's whether you choose to act upon it or not. Let's hear from the other guys on that. It's not unusual to have those desires. As far as answering your question, a girl that ticks a lot of the boxes is worth investigating because that can add a lot of value to your life. It's really how much value or how many added assets is she giving you versus liabilities. And if she's giving you a lot of the added value, then you don't want to just discount that or throw it away. Now, if you want a good girl and you want some on the side, you could always have that conversation like many in our space do. And you can actually have, dating non-monogamous is completely on the table. The only way I recommend it, though, is be open and upfront about it. There's no need to lie and be promising her some kind of love or future relationship that is exclusive, and then you really aren't doing that. At least that's how I look at it. I know men that would look at it exactly opposite, and they would conceal it in order to protect her in some way.
I would say before, like you're at a good point when you need to ask yourself, because I'm sure you've been vetting her, right? And that's how you determine she's a good girl. But have you taken the time to vet yourself? Because I think you're in that predicament right now where you're like, you want to have something on the side, but you want this good girl. Well, you have to vet yourself before you can vet her. Like if you're in this relationship and it's committed relationship and it's monogamous, you have to ask yourself, are you capable of being that for her right now? And if you're not, if you're having questions, like if you're questioning whether or not you can't fight off the urges, or you're struggling with the urges. I mean, every guy's gonna struggle with urges, but like if it's, you know, getting to the point where you're like really contemplating whether or not doing something or not, then you should really ask yourself, are you ready right now in your time of your life to actually be in a committed relationship? And should you just be spinning plates? Because the last thing you want to do is commit to her, no matter how good of a good girl she is. If you are just not there, it could come out after you guys getting married and you guys, you know, in a relationship, you might end up slipping up, and you don't want to put yourself in that predicament. If you are not ready yet to commit, then don't, you know, spin plates, be honest, let them know exactly where you're at, and, you know, be full, you know, give them that disclosure, let them be able to make the decision what they want to do.
What do you think about that question, Afi? Afi, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. What do you think about that question?
I'm gonna just keep it. I'll just keep it cut and dry. It ain't that tricky, bro. That kind of shit, bro. It can cause a lot of turmoil in your relationship. Sometimes even the thought of even bringing the conversation up. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes if you gotta use your discernment to even realize if that's kind of a thing, because some girls, it'll rub them the wrong way and it'll just affect, and then it'll tap into her insecurities. And then every time, so what I would tell you to do is just do it on vacation, bro. You gotta marry, you got a lot to lose, bro. You don't wanna lose your wife over no ass, bro. That's what you don't want to do. So just do it on vacation, bro. You do your family thing, and then when you want to go to Vegas, take some shit down, go back home to the family, whatever. I don't. That's what I do, because you know you got all this shit balancing, whatever. I don't know, because it's like if you bring it to her and she ain't with it, it's gonna change the dynamics of your shit. She's gonna look at you different. She's gonna start thinking that you want somebody else and she's good enough, and the conversation's gonna get weird. If put it like this, if you're asking, she may not be the one. You see what I'm saying? Like because I got girls who I can do that with, but I also have girls who I can't do that with. Some girls I deal with are cool with other girls, but certain ones ain't. And I gotta play different. I gotta play them different tunes, right? I gotta play them different tunes, basically. So, how are you? Because you didn't say you wanted a side girl. You just said you wanted some tail. Man, do that shit on vacation, man. Just like the women do, bro. Come on to your life. That's what I say.
Yeah. No, yeah, I understand. It's different if you're just dating and you haven't set that up front using Offie's discernment, like you said, whether that's going to be an allowable practice in that future relationship, then yeah, you don't want to risk it. That'd be dumb.
I will say this though. Start off with a threesome conversation. Don't start off with trying to like have like an open relationship to where you just seeing other girls and she not. You want to make her feel a part of it first, if anything. You know what I'm saying? If she gives you crap about the threesome, then you already know that it's all bad. That you can't even have that conversation about, oh, I love you, but I want to still do other. If she ain't down for the threesome, erase that, bro. So that's how I would test it.
Well, I would start out with a threesome conversation, not so much saying that you wanted to do it as the man, but ask the girl, because I've done it before. Ask the girl, have you ever thought about being with another girl, and see how that slides with her, and then go from there.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable advice for sure.
I think it's hard for a man in his 20s to stay, in general, to be monogamous. At least that's been my experience and what I've seen. If he does have options, and if he is good with women, even if he has a steady, he's going to have those urges, and it's more difficult for him, I think, than an older man to be. Hell, even for me.
Wait. Offie? Mark, do you still have those urges? Come on, man.
Yeah,
I'm not that much younger than you.
But it's easier. It's easier than it used to be.
I mean, Bill's an animal.
I don't know. I'll put my 2 cents in there since I'm probably more conservative than most of you guys. I think Thor's right. If you enter in and you're open about it, and that's the kind of relationship you're gonna have, I don't have a problem with it. And I mean, I've had that kind of relationship. But if I'm with a girl and I'm spending time with her, and that's, you know, the agreement between us is that it's going to be just us. Then if I'm going to be in that relationship, I'm going to fulfill my obligation and honor that. Because then if I don't do that, it attacks my dignity and attacks her dignity. All right. But like I said, I have that conversation before I get into a relationship. I'm always upfront about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
if I find
integrity is
her and
key.
that's worth that values enough that I can say, yeah, I can live with this, then I fulfill my obligation. And I'm honorable about it.
yeah, it's interesting. Like on the super chat, he said, I'm having a hard time reconciling having a marriage-minded good girl on lock and wanting some side. Well, if she's not locked down, but she's a good girl, and you can't just approach her with direct speak, like real speak, like what you really want. You know, see, I'm a little bit different than Alfie, where I wouldn't just step out and just go do it without talking about it. You know, for me, it's better just to be open and honest from the beginning, because man, that shit comes back around, man. That just, I don't need that in my life. You know what I mean? I don't need to get train wrecked like that. But, or maybe I'm just not as slick as you are, Alfie. I'm just not as slick, bro.
Well, let me do a disclaimer. See, the thing is, it fits my lifestyle because I'm in LA right now. So you know what I mean? Like, it fits my lifestyle. So it's not even like I'm traveling for booty. I just get booty while I travel. You see what I'm saying?
Man, I gotta live
So it's-
vicariously through you, bro.
So it's yeah. So it's what I already do anyway. You know what I mean? I was in Vegas last night. I got me some booty. You know, and then it was sold. You know, so it's not like I'm just living this regular life and all of a sudden I want to go to Colombia or I want to go to Vegas now, and then I ain't never did none of this shit. Now all of a sudden I want to go meet the boys in DR. That's hot. But see, me, I'm international Alfie. I do this shit anyway. You know what I mean? So I always got to leave them and hug them goodbye. So it ain't really no big deal, and they ain't coming with me. So that's how that's a disclaimer too, that traveling is a part of my shit already. So like I say, it's not me traveling for booty. It's me traveling, getting booty while I travel. So it's a difference.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. I gotta hug him and tell him goodbye.
But one of the points we didn't really touch on is he's got a good girl locked down, but he never said whether he's locked down or not. So that's a good point there. I mean, is he locked down? And if we back up to one of the things Thor said earlier about when they come up with what are we? You know, has he had that conversation yet? And then he's determined, hey, we're going to be monogamous or whatever. And that's what they'll come up with. I dated a girl a couple months ago, and she asked me the same thing. What are we? And I said, well, let's just say we're lovers. And so I'm free to do what I want to. She's free to do what she wants to, because I don't want to be in that committed deal. So we don't know where he's at. Has he committed to her? Has she given him that question about where are we going with this? What are we? What are we going to do? So we don't know that. At least I didn't pick that up from the question.
Well, I think it's alleged though. Like, I mean, it's assumed that he is, because he said he doesn't want to risk losing her by having something on the side. So that means if he feels like he's risking losing her, then that means he implied that he is somewhat locked down, or he at least believes he's locked down.
Yeah,
because
that could be. Yeah.
he thinks that if he steps out, he's going to lose her. Then that means there's some type of understanding or assumption that they're exclusive.
But that right there where he's at, if he's afraid of losing her, that's not a very good position. You really have to be in a position where you're willing to lose. Not that you're going to make a decision to lose her, but you can't be, how do I say? I went out with a girl for about 5 years between the ages of 16 and 21, and I broke up with her because I had cheated on her, but I was willing to walk away because I wanted to live my life and I wanted to go out with other girls. So I had to be true to myself and say, hey, so I broke up with her. It was hard to do because I loved her. Next guy she went with, she got married, but he needs to be, what's most important to him? Is he going to look back and regret? Because this is what I ask myself. Will I regret losing this girl because she was a good girl? She got married. She's been married ever since. All right. Or do I want to, I want to go out and experience what I want to experience, which is what I did. I don't regret that. She was a great girl. Probably would have made a good wife. I wasn't ready for that. I wanted to run and gun in my 20s. So he needs to ask himself, what does he want to do? I mean, what does he really want out of life? And he has to make a decision, I believe, and stick with that.
All right, guys, we're rolling in on almost an hour and a half. Are you about ready to wrap this up on exclusive dating? and non-exclusive dating. It's like we had a really good conversation so far. Let's roll back through, see if we got any remaining super chats. I don't see any. Guys, get out there and subscribe to RP Thor. Subscribe to the DragonShip, which is a separate channel. Subscribe to Phil Foster's YouTube channel, Glenn Laurence Presents YouTube channel, Raith Deantior's YouTube channel, and Oppie Kingdom Books. And Oppie's got a YouTube channel as well as Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration. So, oh, we just got something. Here we go. We got a couple of them. Let's get at it, guys. Let's get at these super chats. Here we go. There's your sound effect there, Paul. If you're afraid to lose her, you've already lost her. Skull. How true. How true.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Oh, I am actually going to put another one up before we do Danny. Or no, let's do Danny. Danny. Somebody beat me to the punch. The Pipe Fitters Union. Sub-reference for the win. Morning, my brother, Skull. And to you, Danny Arnold, our Viking son. And I'm going to put one more up here. Jared Mesa MRA. We will confirm that Rollo got spinning plates from Tom Likas. And yes, he did. Tom Likas was the very first one to cap the spinning the plates. And that was his terminology that has carried forward into the modern manosphere. So we will certainly acknowledge credit due where credit is due. So with that, oh, I lost my place. Did we get another one?
We got another one, Ollie.
All right, there's a war horn.
Let me say one thing too that y'all don't expect me to say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one thing y'all don't expect me to say. I will say this. I hear what Come On Man is saying, but I'm gonna disagree a little bit.
Go for it. That's what this is about. Because scared is not the right word sometimes. It's not always that you're scared to lose her, like, oh my God, I can't live without her. But some girls, sometimes it's hard to come by a girl that you're compatible with, bro. Finding bitches to have sex with is easy, but sometimes it's hard. And a lot of times the girl that you really like ain't gonna be down with the other chicks. All chicks is not with that shit, bro. And sometimes it just ain't it. So it's not about like you scared, like you can't, but it's just like, you know what's worth it. You got to balance it. Is it what's more important? My lifestyle or my love? And that can be hard. So it's not necessarily that you're scared, but you just know, like, okay, I can lose this over this. Even though I want this, it's not losing worth over this. So it's not like a scared thing. It's just like, fuck, is it worth it type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because scared is like that's like the sip guys who like put their women on a pedestal and shit like that. Like you could come across a dope ass chick and stuff like that, but she might not be in a threesome, or she just may like to enjoy her man. And then so you gotta charge her to the game until you find you gotta have sex with like 30 other girls until you find another one of those. So sometimes it's just about balance. I would just say not necessarily a relationship like that. When it comes to a relationship like that, I do have to agree. But I'm going to take it in a different context. Let's take it into just in case he meant something different. I'll take it out of that context of that threesome, and I'll say I'll rephrase it. If you're worried about her cheating, or if you have a mindset that she's going to run away from you, and she's your gal, you don't have any evidence, but that's your mindset. That's your biggest fear. What you focus on comes true, gentlemen. It's the law of attraction. And if by chance that's what he meant, then I just wanted to bring that up because I know he's a big guy on law of attraction. So if you're focused on her, say cheating, or you have that focus on your biggest fear is that you've lost her, then you tend to take actions that will push her away and make her do exactly what you feared. Out of the context that Offie stated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've been in those situations and I've had women that have went along with my shit but then have regrets. And then it just fucks the whole thing up. Like we have something cool and then we bring somebody else in and then after that, they're a different person now. And I'll be thinking, damn, the threesome was cool, but it wasn't worth it. Now she's acting weird. Now she's bringing up other girls. Now when I look at other girls, she's all insecure. And I'll be like, damn, that shit wasn't worth that one night. You feel me? Or it wasn't worth, you know what I mean? So sometimes it can be like that, you know? Especially when you get older, you know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
You know, when the older you get, the less you want to chase, and that's the, you know what I mean. Even
That
if
is
you're chasing, you're still,
Yeah.
even though we're older, we're still not chasing the way we was in our 20s. It's different.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
It's
also,
different
you
level of
energy.
chase.
also got to figure out like what's your frame? Is your frame to have this lifestyle or to have multiple women in your lifestyle, or is your goal to be committed to one person? Like what is it? What do you really want? And you know, you have to decide what that is. You have
Yeah.
to choose what that is. And if it is to have other women, then you have to be willing to let that girl go and risk losing her. You can't play to not lose, because if you try to play to not lose, you're going to lose. You have to play to win. You can't do anything, you know, to avoid a loss, you know, because you will end up losing to some
Right.
degree.
Yep, that's for sure. Hey, guys, if you like what Offie, I want to stop the show just for a minute and acknowledge Offie Kingdom. What he's throwing down here as far as talking about, you know, harem, threesomes, all those sort of things. This guy understands and he knows, and so does other panel members. But as far as that's concerned, guys, you need to jump over to the Dragons membership. Subscribe to RP Thor. Come on over. All the guys here have affiliate links for the Dragons membership. Guys like Offie give lessons on this stuff based on his real life experience, and all the receipts are there. You can learn a lot and avoid some of the pitfalls where, you know, you end up messing up a good thing because you just have this idea that you have this fantasy. There's a lot of pitfalls there, and you can learn from a man like this. You're not going to see it on YouTube. You need to jump over to something like the Dragons membership. I don't have Randall here, but at the end of this show, we'll put up a little screen where you guys can come over there, and it supports the channel. Everything that's done in the Dragons membership supports this content so that you can get out and you can enjoy our kind of tongue-in-cheek panel show. So I also have another super chat we need to get to, guys, and that is going to be with Ali. Let's give him a war horn. Thanks, Ali. Appreciate that. So now I'm not sure what regards this is, but what's your switch on story? The moment you realize you had to turn inwards for answers. Oh, for me, it was really early on. But the biggest one where I had to turn back inwards, I'll answer this first, was when I got in a really big hurry and I cut safety corners and I grabbed a hold of 12,000 volts and shredded the skin off of my hands, my arms, and my face. It's because I didn't want to be late coming home to work, because I had two little boys that needed to get inoculation so they could go to daycare. Very young. I was a single dad. And ended up being 27 days late and 7 days on a respirator and a year and a half of surgery to repair my hands so I could go back to work, and had about $100,000 in debt. So that's when I really realized I need to turn inward and get my priorities straight and not cut corners. Anyways, that's my switch on story. Let's go round table. Anybody have anything that stands out? Just go ahead and shout out.
You will hear my switch on story on the Come On Man podcast coming out soon. Me and Paul's going to have me on, and we're going to be talking about my switched on story. So I'm not going to disclose too much. I'll just point you guys in that direction and listen to the Come On Man podcast when I hop on there and we talk about it. It's going to be a good one.
Sounds good. Anybody else with a switch on story?
I missed the question. I was answering the super chat or chat, so I wasn't
Chat,
quite sure.
no worries. It's what's your switch on story, Mark? What's the moment you realized you had to turn inwards for your answers?
I was
You're
about 30,
grasping outwards and you have to turn inwards. I mean, it's that critical moment when you're asking for the helping hand and you realize all you had to do is look at the end of your wrist. That's when
okay. I was about 30 years old, and I kind of hit a bottom, and I was in my apartment by myself, alone. I'd been dating girls still, but I felt empty, and it just didn't do it for me anymore. And I thought, why am I here alone and feeling this way? Because all I ever thought about was myself. So I kind of turned things around there and started looking within me for the answers to my life's problems, instead of saying it was her fault, it was this guy's fault, it was my ex-girlfriend who dumped me, it was this and was that. So that was kind of when I started looking outside and getting mentors to help me teach me more about life and just to how to navigate a little better, because I'd kind of run my life into the ground there, being selfish. And that's basically what brought me here, is the desire to share what I've learned, like my first mentors did to me, shared to me, and they told me just pass this on like I'm passing it on to you. So that's how I satisfy my selfish desire to feel good, by helping other people to grow and learn, just like what was done for me.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
I got
man,
two.
Go ahead, Alf.
I got two. I'll make it short. The first one, I was 28, and I got 2 DUIs within 3 weeks. So I was sitting in jail, and I was thinking to myself, if I get a third DUI, I'm gonna lose everything because it's a felony. I'm gonna have to do a year in jail, and all of this shit ain't gonna matter. So I told myself when I got out of jail, I wasn't gonna chase no ass no more. I was just gonna attract the women that I wanted. So that was the first one. And then the second one was, okay, I started YouTube 2000.
Oh, no, where is it?
You lost him.
Oppie, where'd you go?
I'm here.
Start all
it
over,
was,
brother. Start all over. I was really getting into it.
You heard the first one, right? The DUI, you heard that one?
Yeah, we heard that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second one was in 2020 when I took my first month mode. My brother RPC put me onto that, and I did 9 months. I had a heavy rotation. Let me see. It was probably like maybe 10 or 12 at that time. And but some of my women I got lifers. I call them lifers. So I had them since the 90s, since high school and all of that. And I did my first month mode. I did 9 months without sex and dating and women. And in that 9 months, I wrote and published 4 books. And then after I got off the month mode, I was like, shit, I like writing and publishing books more than fucking with these chicks. And so when I came back to dating, my perspective in the way that I viewed it was different. You know what I mean? Because I like doing my hobbies and shit actually more than the women and shit. Before it was the other way around. So that was my 2.
Nice. So my question is there parole from the lifers?
Nah, bro, I had to cut them all off. All the girls that I got now are new.
Oh, so
I don't have no more. Yep, they all new. So
you got early release then. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it just kind of teetered off, but then I just didn't have the same desire anymore as I did before because I was doing things out of routine. I was used to just dealing with women all the time that I didn't think of nothing of it. And then 9 months is like a school year. You know what I mean? That's like a whole school year. So you start school in September, so you're not fucking with nothing until the summer and shit. So once I got on my thing, and I just really confined myself, and I started enjoying my time with myself better also.
So we're gonna have to do an episode on that monk mode because that's done on purpose, kind of as a refresh and all that sort of stuff. Which is
I put King
really
Dre on it. King Dre got on it after me, and then he said it did the same thing for him.
Oh, good. I'd like to get you two back on to talk about that benefits because I think there's a lot of value to be had sometimes because we all get into routines and we end up pressing the easy button. I don't care what you're doing. Oftentimes we need an identity refresh, a reinvention of ourselves just to kind of reset our own internal springs, so to speak. And I think it could be useful when done with intention rather than just, I just need a break and I'm just doing it. I think intention is really important. Would you agree with that, Avi?
I agree. Yep, I agree.
Cool. Let's do that sometime. And guys, go and subscribe at Offie Kingdom. What's your YouTube, Offie?
My YouTube is Offie Kingdom right here, and my Instagram is International AFI. That's my name. And yeah, so that's my Instagram and that's my YouTube, and then my books are on Amazon. You just type in my name, all that shit will come up.
Thank you. I appreciate that, nephew. Am I going to see you in Las Vegas in February?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. I'm flying out. I'm flying out the night before, and I'm leaving the next day. So I'm just flying. I want to go to Grand Canyon. It's dope. But the last time I went, I was by myself. So I think it'd be cool to go with a group.
Yep.
And see, that's another thing. See, people don't go to the Grand Canyon by themselves, but I do that type of shit. So that's what I'm saying. That's a part of my lifestyle.
That's all right. Yeah, there'll be some of us out there early February. If you're interested, contact us through our other media name, IG or whatever, and we'll see if we can't do a meetup for sure for the fans of the DragonShip. And then that would be like the 2nd through the 5th. I know Glenn's coming out. Phil, you coming out?
Yeah, we haven't really formed that up yet. You know,
Okay.
we hadn't really talked, but yeah, I mean, I have intentions on taking a look at it seriously. So we just got to,
We have several options too. We'll talk about it. Sounds
yeah.
good. Anybody else have their switch on story that stands out in their mind? Lauren, do you have a switch on story where you had to turn yourself inwards?
Oh, yes. When I was 17, my father just died. He was handicapped. My mother was working in a mental asylum. I was poor. And I wanted to go and study. So I really looked inward and had nothing going for me.
Yeah.
Nothing. So I had to look inward. That was the first time. And the second time was, well, there are a few times. Basically, the idea there is every time we hit crisis, we come off the autopilot and we have to switch back on. So the latest one was about I would say a year ago, a year and a half ago. So as you say, like we're always in autopilot. And then every now and then when there's a big crisis, we need to wake up.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Sounds good. What about anybody else? Anybody else have a switch on story they want to share real quick before we get to the round table? I know Glenn, if anybody has any final questions, throw a super chat and we'll get right to it. I want to acknowledge everybody in the chat. It was really cool, man. Even Jared Mesa MRA, we will acknowledge the truth. And you're right. Thanks for chatting in all caps and drawing our attention. Thanks, brother. So anybody else have their switch on story? Any final thoughts that you'd like to put out there on non-exclusive dating? Is it a degenerate lifestyle? I think not. I think it's a smart way to actually screen for potential long-term mates, if that's what you want to do. If it's not what you want to do, and you want to meet lots of people and get a nice connection with them that's passionate and validational, I say go for it. And it's still not a degenerate lifestyle, as long as you protect yourself. Anybody else?
I will say this. I will say that, you know what? It is the best way to vet and spin plates. You know, I definitely think spinning plates is a great idea. But do it with the right mindset. Do it full disclosure and letting people know what you're doing. Don't mislead. Don't allow people to think something that you're not doing. You know, be true. Be upfront with it. The last thing you want to do, because you only have two things in this life. You have your word, your name, you know, and you don't want to be known as a deceiver, a liar, somebody that's manipulating them just to get the the badge. So be upfront with it. You know that you're going to lose more than you're going to win. The ratio is not in your favor. Okay, even the top Chads of the Chads, you know, still strike out when they go out. Even Offie strikes out when he goes out. Even Phil Foster strikes out when he goes out. You know, so even the high value guys are not batting 1,000. All right. So know that if you get further with being more upfront and honest, and you actually get the women that you want to get with in your life. And as Rich Cooper says, guys have this tendency to create more problems for their lives than they need. And one way to do that is not being honest. All right. So be upfront with them. If you're out there dating, spinning plates, that's great. Just be upfront.
That's right, man. The energy you put out there is going to come back to you tenfold, and there's consequences to that shit. Real speak right there, man. Being direct all the time is the way to be.
I would say, man, for the listeners, just figure out who you are and what you want. Because for me, you know, I've been coaching since I started YouTube after only 1 month. Thanks to the Lucario. And
Shout out.
a lot of guys just follow trends. Like a lot of guys, they're players on the internet, but then when you talk to them, they ain't really like that. So don't be following trends and shit that's not gonna make you happy. You know what I'm saying? If it's not for you, like I be telling guys, like, bro, or you know, just prime example, Thor last night, the dude asked me, what do you say? He said, how do I get Dread Game? First thing I said is, you're not ready because you asking, bro. I can just tell you kind of like, you know, you think you just because you want to know it don't mean you're ready for it. Like you gotta, like I said, you gotta not care. You gotta take that out and then add to that. You cannot because if you try to do that kind of shit, they're gonna test you, and if you don't have the frame, you're gonna fold. You know what I'm saying?
Everything, absolutely.
The first time she challenged it, just it can be little stuff. Like you can be trying to be a stand-up guy, all of a sudden she don't know the stand-up guy yet, and now all of a sudden she say, I want you to cook tacos. And you try to stand up to her like, I want to make pizza, and then she be like, make the tacos. Okay, baby. See, you're not. It's because it's not internally you. You can't follow it because it's not you. You're just trying to, you know what I mean? Like these guys, it's like Fresh and Fit. They from what they say, you watch the show in the chat, they be saying they for the streets, all of this stuff. But then all the girls on there get 10,000 more followers too. So which one is it? Are they for the streets or do you like them? You know what I mean? So figure out what it is you want to do that's gonna make you happy. You know what I'm saying? I'm a certain kind of way because of I came from a different background than most people. I did different things when I was younger. So my perspective and shit is way different. So you can't copy me. You know what I mean? So do what make you happy. Cause I do it because it makes me happy. I don't do it because people do it on YouTube and I want to fit in and shit. Like, nah, bro, it's because it's what I like.
No, but you're really unique because of that, your perspective is different and you're well educated. And you have that Socratic method of working with guys, which really embeds the information that you fought so hard to learn through trial and error and real life experience. And I appreciate it, nephew. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and do some roundtable and plug everything, gentlemen. Guys, before we even go there, come and subscribe, share, like. All these guys are great. It takes time. None of us do this for a living, by the way. We do this because we're having fun, and we want you to be a part of the fun. And even someday when we do eventually make some money, it will all go back into this effort to have fun. And that's kind of the difference. Not that I wouldn't want to make a ton of money. I would, but mostly it needs to stay about fun. And a lot of times that, you get too big and you have commitments you got to make, and that's honorable too. But for now, it's about fun. Let's share it and let's grow this thing. Come and visit us on the Dragon. So let's start with Mark. I know you got a show coming up. Where can we find you? Thank you for being a part of this magnificent panel aboard the Dragonship. Mark's inspiration.
All right, you can find me on YouTube at Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration, Instagram, Mark's Inspiration, Twitter, same thing, Mark's Inspiration, or Rumble. We were supposed to have a show tonight. Not sure if I'm going to have it because my son's supposed to have his first amateur boxing match, but I think the guy might have backed out or something happened. So whether we have a show or not, I'm not sure. Check out my books on Amazon, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power is Within. And that's it for today.
I got to recommend the book, guys. I haven't read it, but I read the synopsis, and you got to go and check Mark out. This guy's a real life badass adventurer that I can get behind. Go check out his book for sure.
Thanks, Laura.
You bet. Laurent, you got something to add, man? You're over there in Tokyo. You get up early to be with us. I really appreciate you, brother. I can't wait to start hearing some of your stuff on your own channel as far as finances are concerned and projections and how we emotionally tie in money to our emotions and our well-being. I can't wait because I've heard some of your content before, and we're just glad to have you as part of the panel, Laurent.
Oh, thank you very much. So it was a pleasure being with you gentlemen today. I have nothing to say. Just one thing for guys: don't lie to women. You don't need to do that, and leave people better than you found them. That's one thing to leave to. So, we're better together. We're all better together.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, I would ask everybody, we do have one thing to sell, and that's just subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's about all you got to do. So let's sell that. Hoppy, what are you up to? Where can we find you?
Yeah, follow me. Subscribe to the YouTube, Afi Kingdom. I got a fire drop. I think I'm gonna drop if y'all seen DMX, I'm happy about that. If y'all seen, not DMX. If y'all seen Belly, I actually interviewed the real person from that, the real person who played DMX. So I got a 4-part series. I'm gonna drop that. So make sure you subscribe so you can check that. I'm talking to him in jail. He in jail still, so we chopping it up like that. And don't be afraid to evolve, man. Don't be afraid to evolve. Sometimes evolution comes, you're scared and you want to deny it, man. Sometimes let the evolution hit you, man, because you got another blessing on that's coming above and stuff, and you're gonna deteriorate your blessings by fighting what's supposed to happen. You feel me? So yeah, that, and then after that, that's pretty much it. Laurent, you my guy. Anybody up want to collaborate? You know what I mean? Just hit me in the DMs. We'll set it up because I love talking shit.
I'm gonna take you up. It's gonna be you and definitely King Dre on your monk mode experience and the benefits that you had. Think about that. I'll get a hold of you after we get back from Vegas. Phil Foster, my brother.
What's
Texas.
up? Yeah,
Come and take it.
What's up, bro? What's going on? Yeah, it's just great. You can find me at philfosterfitness.com for all your hormone training and supplement needs. You can find me at philfoster_ all over social media. When it comes to degenerate lifestyle and dating, I think that, dating is an important aspect in filtering and finding the right person. Because let's face it, man, men and women are better together than they are apart. We really are, man. The thing is the problem is I think society as a whole is de-evolved and is degenerate itself. I don't think dating necessarily is. You're looking for the right girl. For the ladies, if you're looking for the right man, spend some time around them. You don't necessarily have to fuck on the first date to find out if they're decent or not. But if you're going to lock someone down, you want to make sure that they're going to be on your team. Like, if you're going to be in my life, you need to be Team Phil Foster 100%, because I'm going to do my best to give you everything you have in this world and provide the security and provision, because that's my burden. That's my job as a man. It's transactional, though. You got to have that value inside of you, too. So I think, guys, when it comes to, being forthwith and direct when it comes to girls, letting them know, hey, I'm dating several other people right now. You're part of a pool of women. I'm interested in you, but I'm also speaking to so-and-so. Do you want to meet them? That's the thing. That's where you got to get to on the level. I think what you cast out there in the universe comes back to you wholeheartedly. And so with that, man, once again, awesome panel. Alfie, it's great to see you guys. Thor, DragonShip, man, it's good to be here with you guys on Saturdays. A little tired today, man, from my job this week. I've been working my ass off a little bit. But with that, man, I'll pass the mic, man. You guys have a great weekend. Hit the like and subscribe, Phil. Guys.
You're one of my favorites, man. Hey, one of my other favorites. Heck, everybody on here is one of my favorites. Glenn, let's hear what you got going on, because you got a lot of irons in the fire. And as far as the DragonShip's concerned, you have a couple of shows coming out. I think at least me and Phil are involved in one of them with you. That's coming real soon. It's going to be really top level, maybe even kind of adultish in nature, little maybe more tongue-in-cheek, little out there. You got something to say about that? And then tell us all about what you got going, Glenn.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, we will be dropping the new show, The Trident, very soon. It's been a work in progress. We have about like one season ready to go. And it's going to be released. I'm not sure where we're going to drop it yet. I don't know if we're going to go YouTube or if we're going to go behind the paywall.
There's good reasons for that, isn't there, Glenn? Because there's not a live show.
It's not a live show. It's pre-recorded. So there's some good reasons for it. But we might drop the first one out here. You know what? I'll do a premiere for the first one.
Okay.
Tonight. I will release the first one, episode 1, tonight as a premiere on the DragonShip and on RP Thor and Phil Foster and my channel. You'll catch it there as a premiere, and then we'll see about putting it behind a paywall, because I think it's good enough content that deserves to be behind a paywall. But besides that, you can catch me on Glenn Laurence Presents on YouTube, on Instagram, Glenn_Laurence_presents. If you are a podcaster and you realize that podcasting is difficult by yourself and you want a producer, I could be your remote producer. I have the means to be your producer remotely, not be in studio with you, but be able to run everything for you. I just did this past week, I was the producer for Paul Benjamin from Apex Mindset. He's all the way in Michigan. I'm all the way in California. How are they able to do it? Well, it's magic, baby. It's magic. So if you are interested in having a remote producer and get your videos produced, edited properly, and get you some clips for you to put out there for your social medias and to promote your own channel, contact me. Hit me up. I will help you out and get you guys set up on a good plan, and we'll get that going for you. But other than that,
I'm interested.
well, shit, we'll be talking off tonight.
Let me just say a couple things about Glenn. Glenn's a good friend. Aside from that, though, Glenn grinds. Glenn is one of the producers on the DragonShip. He's one of the founding members. He's in front of the camera and behind the camera. He's been giving me some nice lessons on vocal intonations to promote, and he does all our promotions, and he does our the majority of our clips. Glenn is basically, he has cut his chops in Hollywood with voiceovers, editing. And so if anybody needs those skills, Glenn is our resident, and we want to promote that as much as possible. It just helps this content move forward even better. With that, Glenn, I want to pass it to Raith unless you got one final thing.
No, sir. Pass it to Raith, and thank you very much.
Raith Deantior, our resident wisdom. I love having you on the show, brother. Always good, man. Love working with you.
Well, thank you.
Thoughts?
I want to close out by saying, some things that have been said here, and people kind of brush over them. And Offie's right, Glenn is right, and Phil's right. Guys, you have to start out knowing yourself. If you're not learning about yourself and you're not trying to figure out who you are, how do you expect other people to know who you are? And if you're out there dating and you don't know who you are, it's going to be catch as catch can, and you're going to be hit and miss on your success. Dating is about learning about other people. It's about experiencing the experience so that you learn about yourself, what you want. And, there are two types of dating. There's the dating to learn, and then there's dating with intent. And when you're ready to date with intent, you'll have finished up dating to learn, because you'll know yourself. Way too many young men sit out there thinking that it's all about, conquering. It is, but it's about conquering yourself, conquering your fears, developing your competency, and having confidence to go out and date with the intention. Whether the intention is to get a harem or one, it's still dating with intention. And when you can understand that you're dating with intention, you'll attract the people you want in your life. You can find me. I do coaching sessions and stuff. You can find me at Raith Deantior on Yahoo, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and on YouTube. So back to you, Thor.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and close the show out, guys. Of course, you can find me at becomedurable.com. Let's go ahead and close down all the comments at this point, guys. I'm going to go ahead and carry the show out. Thank you. Take a look at the other content on the DragonShip. It's really important, guys. It's fantastic. We are just going to grow, and we're going to bring on more talent in the future to build this thing into something that we all enjoy. Remember, on the DragonShip, our philosophy is that a rising tide lifts all ships. So let's be that rising tide and lift all the ships. Until next time, I'm Thor. Skull.
If you haven't already, join Thor's The Dragons membership. It's a men's monthly interactive meeting in cyberspace. This is a masculine place for men that is censorship free to help you increase your performance, converse as well as leverage ideas, and get coaching consultations on how to handle life's issues in a modern world. This is a unique place. This is a discreet place, and it's a place for men. So what are you waiting for? Join the Dragons membership today. Make sure you get your own copy of Thor's Dominant Masculine Presence Lecture. This is an hour-long lecture that teaches extremely valuable yet simple techniques that will help you to improve your dominant masculine presence. You will learn how easy it is to begin building the foundation for your masculine presence and make yourself into a dominant masculine man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go after it. So what are you waiting for? Buy now and start your journey and start building that dominant masculine presence and become the man that you always wanted to be.
If you're looking to level up your physique and you need some help, make sure you go to philfosterfitness.com. philfosterfitness.com is your one-stop shop for all your workout and supplement needs. Get your high-quality protein packed with all the essential ingredients that you need to support muscle recovery and muscle growth. And if you haven't reached your goals on your current workout plan, go to Phil Foster Fitness today to book you a one-on-one consult. When you book your one-on-one consult at philfosterfitness.com, you get a customized workout plan and meal plan designed specifically for you. Look, you're an individual, so that cookie-cutter workout plan that you found off the internet is only going to get you so far. So if you really want to reach your goals, you need to get yourself a customized workout plan that's designed specifically for you. If you're really serious about reaching your fitness goals, why wait? Go to philfosterfitness.com and book your consult today.